Happy Thursday. We are at the final highlight episode, y'all. How fun has this been? I hope you've had such a great time re-listening to some of the fan favorites and the greatest hits. Next week, I will be back with brand new, fresh episodes for you. That came out weird, but we're just going to pretend that it didn't and keep going. What we have today, though, is such a special episode, and I'm so happy that I brought this up in a recent monthly win roundup. So if you've never heard of this before, I invite my current and former clients to this monthly free call, and you don't have to be currently working with me. And if you are a former client and you're like, hey, where's my invite? You're just not on the email list, email me. I'll send you the link. You can get on the list for the reminders. And it's just a fun get together that we have every month on Zoom, and whoever can make it can come. We just take a second to look back on the month that we just finished before we get into the busyness and chaos and whatever the next month is going to hold. We take a second to just reflect and really remember on purpose all of the good things from the prior month and celebrate them before they are lost to the ether of our memories and Google Photo drives. So anyway, it's really, I'm getting on a tangent, but we were at a monthly win roundup and I was talking to my client friends about this month or 6 weeks or whatever it's ended up being of just kind of reruns and greatest hits and how they were happy to hear some of these old favorites because these are some of the bangers, right? One of my clients suggested that I replay one of the first 10 episodes. And I was like, what? That never even occurred to me. This is banana pants. But she was like, honestly, that one, I still remember it. It's probably why I signed up to work with you in the first place. It's what I needed to hear. And I was like, dang, I got to go into these archives. So today, you're going to re-listen to episode 7 of the Decision Masters podcast. What? This is also a great reminder that if you're on a binge moment or if you're looking through the more recent episodes and they're just not your jam right now, sometimes I really want to hear something specific from somebody, so I got to scroll into the archives. You should go check out the first 10 episodes. At episode 4, we start the Overthinker's Checklist, where we look at the principles of simple decision making. And then the next 6 episodes are each individual principle. They spell out the word simple. You're welcome. And today's episode 7 is all about makeable decisions, which is the M in simple. These are great, super helpful concepts, and they are back to basics, foundational stuff we're never going to not need reminding of, right? At the end of this episode, I say you can go to kirstenparker.com/checklist to get the Overthinker's Checklist that breaks down all these principles, exactly how to integrate them into your lives. And you can still do that. I don't know what that website looks like right now. It's probably got some really old branding, but the checklist is still there and the concepts are still good, no matter what the branding looks like. So I was so grateful this was suggested. It was really fun for me to look back at the very beginnings of the pod. And if you haven't given them a listen, or if you haven't given them a listen in a minute, I suggest you go do it. They're still good ideas and you'll hear them with a different ear today than you did several years ago, right? So go get your checklist, kirstenparker.com/checklist. And enjoy focusing on makeable decisions this week. Have fun. Welcome to the Decision Masters podcast. I'm your host, Kirsten Parker. I'm a coach who specializes in conscious, clear-headed decision-making, which, despite how hard we work and how smart we are, is not always easy. Each week, I'll bring you science-backed tools and strategies to use in your daily life and career to make more confident, authentic decisions. Oh, and we're going to make it easy while we're at it. If you're into a life with less overthinking, people-pleasing, and perfectioning, and more making what you want matter, you're in the right place. So happy you're here. Let's get into it. Hi, I hope you are so fabulous. I hope you are feeling present and purposeful and not too scatterbrained today. And if you are, that's totally fine. We're going to clean some of that up in today's episode. So you're in the right place no matter where you are. Today, we're going to talk about a source of overthinking angst that I personally am very, very familiar with. And I know is super duper common among most people, if not all people that I work with. We're going to talk about how to stop trying to make non-makeable decisions. This is part of our series we're doing, exploring the individual principles of simple decision making. So, for context, back in episode 4, we outlined the overthinker's checklist. These are the 6 simple things that will clean up overthinking and make every decision feel simpler and easier and clearer. Today, we're focusing on the M of simple, makeable decisions. So raise your hand or raise an eyebrow if you're driving if you've ever felt like it was impossible to make a decision that was right in front of you because your brain has decided to jump 30 steps forward and is now freaking out about something down the road. Everybody's hands are raised. Wow, look at that. Yes, we all do this. I need you to know you're not alone in this kind of bonkers and frustrating behavior. It's not bonkers, it turns out. It's totally normal. And I used to live here. I used to live in the agony of angsting about non-makeable decisions. I would live at step 2 and I would stop there. I couldn't make a decision to get me to step 3 because I was in agony about what I didn't know about step 36 and beyond. So what I find is this habit shows up particularly fervently in decisions that we care about. Career choices, decisions that affect our families, our health. Like you might want to apply for a job because you are dead set on loving your life, loving your career, making it so amazing. So there might be this decision you're trying to make to get you from step 2 to step 3. Apply for this job or not. That's when your brain can realize, oh, you care about this. There's something that seems like it's at stake here. I better go into the future and find out some problems that we might encounter so that we can solve them now so this decision turns out well. Super duper well-intentioned behavior. It feels like angst in the moment because now you're time traveling, right? Now you're bombarded with a bunch of questions that you can't answer because you're not at step 36. So your brain's like, well, what if you don't like this? And what if this happens? And what if this isn't the best thing to go to there? And what if you don't like angst? That's stressful. But the first thing we need to recognize is that this habit is showing up because you care. You know me. I 100% believe we are actually on our own teams at the end of the day. We are not trying to live extra frustrated lives because we think that's hysterical and a good idea. We are on our own teams, and this is another example of that. Whatever decision you might be overthinking right now, whether it's about your career or about, what to do with your kids on the next break, or whether or not to update your office. Whatever your brain is trying to go into the future about and present you with these non-makeable decisions, I want you to take a breath and just have a little compassion moment for yourself because obviously you care about this decision turning out well. Approaching this decision is activating a fear about the future, and your brain trying to go to step 36 is just its best attempt to solve for that fear. Okay? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense and it's not super helpful, but we can have compassion for it, which makes this whole habit change way, way easier. When you don't feel like you're fighting yourself, when you don't feel like you're making yourself wrong and fixing something. Nope, this is just a totally normal, well-intentioned habit, just humaning. Sometimes this is a helpful instinct. Of course, we want to be thoughtful. Of course, we want to think ahead to potential consequences. Of course. And we're smart problem-solving planners. So it's like, yeah, oh, I'm at step 2. Let me go immediately to step 36. I'll be right back. Totally makes sense. When it becomes a problem is when we trick ourselves into thinking we're missing information at step 2 that we do not, in fact, have access to. I'm going to say that again. Thinking ahead and trying to troubleshoot is not a problem until we start convincing ourselves that we're missing information that we should have. What this feels like is being at step 2, going to step 36 in your mind and thinking, wait, what about this? And then coming back to step 2 and being like, well, I can't make this decision. I don't know the answer to this question in the future. That's when we're trying to make non-makeable decisions. Here's a perfect example, okay? I've had this conversation at least 16 different times with someone who is thinking about applying for a job. So that's step 2. To get to step 3, they decide, do I apply for the job or not? Okay, that's the makeable decision because that's the decision in the room with them that they can make. Where their brains have traveled to step 36 are when they imagine already have accepting the job, having been there for 3 to 5 years, and all of the potential problems and challenges and questions that they might face at that moment. What if it's not the best stepping stone to this? What if I don't actually like doing this as much as I think I will? What if working in this way isn't really what I want? And they start working themselves up in angst because they do not have the answers to those questions here and now. They can't make those decisions because they're not in that position, right? Those decisions are not in the room with them. They're down the hall waiting in line, and they may or may not ever make it into the room. Remember, we're trying to go to step 36 and find all the problems and decisions we might have to make up there so that we can make them now and just feel better because we care about this decision working out well. Okay, so we're not judging this, but we are looking at where is this behavior actually helping and where is it problematic. At that moment, usually in these conversations, the client I'm talking to has lost sight of the makeable decision. They've lost sight of the fact that the only decision on the table right now that we can even do anything about is, do I apply for this job or not? We can see the makeable decisions as separate from the potential questions. But that's usually not what we do. We muddy them all together in a big chaotic pile. The solution is actually quite simple. Can you guess it already based on the title of this episode? The solution to this problem is to only make makeable decisions. It's to task yourself with making makeable decisions and giving yourself permission to not worry about the decisions you can't make now. Now, of course, this is easier said than done because there are 2 specific scary things that happen when we start practicing this solution. We have to accept uncertainty and we have to trust ourselves. And these can be quite scary. So in order to let go of needing to know the future and pre-make all of these non-makeable decisions and safeguard yourself against all of the surprises and failures and feelings that could possibly happen, the only way to do that is to accept uncertainty, to be super duper honest that I don't know what I don't know and I can't know that yet. And cringe, I may never know. Because some of the questions that our brains ask are not answerable. So I want you to take a breath right now. Accepting uncertainty is usually our least favorite thing to do, but it's possible. The other thing that can be a little bit of a challenge is to trust yourself at step 36 to make a good decision. That's what we're really doing. When we let go of all the non-makeable decisions, we're saying, okay, I guess I can't make these now, but you better do a really good job at them, future me, pointing in anger. Not maybe anger, but pointing in like, ooh, you better not mess it up. Now, the best news is that in reality, that step 36 decision is going to be so much easier for you when you are at step 36. Think about that for a second. You at step 36 are going to have so much more information. You will have lived experience and additional data that you cannot possibly have access to here at step 2, which could make the decision that moves you from step 36 to step 37 easy. What if that were true? What if answering all the questions your brain can come up with today about step 36 that feel impossible to answer today are actually just going to be obvious and easy and simple when you are at step 36? They might not be obvious and easy and simple, but I promise you they're going to be a heck of a lot easier than they will be today if you keep trying to make them from step 2. If either of these things feel challenging, accepting uncertainty or trusting your future self to make the decisions that benefit both of you, I promise you can get better at both of these things. I've worked with so many people who were convinced that they could not be okay until they knew all the things, until they felt complete certainty and had 0 questions left. And they got better at uncertainty. They did. They got better at just being honest that I'm at step 2 and that's where I am. So I know what I know and I don't know what I don't know. Another thing I promise is that is so much easier when you trust future you, because you can let go of needing to know all the things that you will when you know them. I feel like we've gotten into like quantum physics by now, but it's fine. I've also worked with so many people who think they are not trustworthy. They cannot trust themselves to make good decisions. They're using their pasts against themselves. They're using their pasts to predict the future, which is a slippery slope, my friend. So this is what I want you to do. This is what we're celebrating, okay? What are we celebrating? You get to capitalize on your full agency today, regardless of the past. You get to just do that if you want to. You get to decide, hey, I can make my best decision today. And if I want to, I can absolutely trust my future self to make their best decision because we are on the same team. I'm going to do what I think is best for me and them, and they're going to do what they think is best for them and their future self. And on it goes. Quantum physics. But we're celebrating that you get to release yourself from this burden of making all of these non-makeable decisions right now. And we're celebrating that you get to instead laser focus your best energy on the decisions available to you, the decisions in the room. Think about how powerful and present and purposeful you will feel when you direct all your attention to what can I do? What's on the table? What can we get up to today? What value can I align with right now? What goal can I move forward right now? And you know, surprises and failures and feelings might happen, but you trust your future self to handle them and make whatever decisions are in the room for them. It's kind of a crazy idea to feel so in concert with yourself, to feel like you are on your own team to this extent. And it can be scary. I'm not trying to sugarcoat that. It can be very scary to make a decision today and not feel like you have all the answers, but it also can feel incredibly powerful. And that's what I want you to play with. Notice if your brain starts trying to time travel and it starts getting hung up on decisions way out in the future. Step 36. Remember that even though that might be frustrating, it's super well-intentioned. Obviously, it means you care about this decision going well, and that's your brain's best guess at how to solve it. And give yourself permission to own what you know right now and accept what you don't and trust future you. And then have fun feeling super powerful in focusing only on all the makeable decisions in front of you. There will be more than you think, and they will feel more important. Let that be enough. I hope this is so much fun to make makeable decisions. I hope it's so freeing. That's what my clients describe. When they shift this expectation of themselves that they should have all the answers right now to all the questions, and instead they let themselves just make the makeable decisions, what they all describe is like a lightening. Like, oh, my shoulders don't feel like they have 25 pounds on them anymore. That's delightful. That makes every day a little bit more enjoyable. That really does make me feel more present and purposeful today because I'm not focusing half my energy and attention on step 36. Have so much fun with it. Let me know how it goes. And make sure right now to go to kirstenparker.com/checklist. You'll get the downloadable workbook of all of the principles of simple decision making. So you'll get to guide yourself through making this stuff a habit and making it easy. So good. Have fun. Talk to you soon. Hey, want to find out your decision style? Obviously, go take the decision style quiz. It's in the show notes and at kirstenparker.com/quiz. We all have our style when it comes to making decisions, but do you know how to use your default way of thinking to your advantage? Or do you mainly get stuck in the most annoying parts of overthinking and people pleasing? The decision style quiz has your answers, my friend. Take it right now at kirstenparker.com/quiz.